The Master Duel tier list post-heroic warriors. What I think is going to be the best decks, all the way to diamond-worthy decks, down to Xbox Cross Playoff, which unfortunately, somebody told me that Xbox Cross Playoff is no longer a thing to get the highest rating, which is unlucky, I guess. But here we go, guys. As you can see, diamond-worthy decks are the decks that are supposed to be in Diamond, and Xbox Cross Playoff are the decks that you should not consider playing, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and say that Dino did not get better from post-heroic warriors. I do think that it does still take a really good pilot. I do have a top dog Master Duel Central. He plays this deck religiously. Go ahead and check out his channel if you want to see Dinos compete against some of the best decks. But I got to give it to him. He is a great Yu-Gi-Oh player, and I don't think you can just pick up Dinos and then just immediately win off top. So unlucky. It is still a really fun deck, really good deck. And if you are a dedicated Dino player, you're going to have a lot of resources to learn how to play this deck. Sky Striker from the new heroic tier list and the ban list. I feel myself gravitating towards really good. And the reason why I gravitate towards really good is because Therion King Regulus can not only equip a Sky Striker link card to summon itself, after it negates, it can get itself off the field to activate Sky Striker spell cards again. So I think that that's really, really good. And that's an interesting interaction that not a lot of people may know about. But Sky Strikers actually did get stronger post-heroic warrior. So I'm going to put it in a really good strategy until I'm proven different. ABC? I think ABC goes from a lot of effort to takes a really good pilot. I don't see where ABC is a diamond deck, and allow me to explain why. I think the adventure engine is a little bit more important than Therion King Regulus, because the adventure engine not only gave you a disruption of Wandering Griffin Rider, it also, the most important thing, gave you a token to your side of the field to be able to link summon with and potentially synchro summon with. I think that that is a huge hit to ABC, having the adventure token engine limited in the capacity that it is. So I think that you're going to have to be a lot smarter what you're playing, which is going to mean it takes a better pilot to be able to play, right? But the Therion Regulus is going to be really good for this deck. Adamantipator, we think that Adamantipator does not get worse, but it doesn't necessarily get better because there's going to be better combo decks that do one card combos, full combos that are just going to be better decks to play. You're going to have to be a dedicated rock player to get full advantage for Adamantipator, which is not a bad thing because it's a fairly good deck. Oh my God. Yo, this is one of the decks that actually gets not diamond worthy anymore. The limitation or the semi-limitation of Alibur Jester of Despia, the semi-limitation, if I remember correctly, of branded Despia or branded opening. In the TCG, this deck actually lost power when the entire set encapsulating around the Therion monsters existed. In the Master Duel, granted it's a totally different game, but Despia not only got worse, there's other strategies that got better. I don't think that Despia lost a ton. And one could even say that it's probably still a diamond worthy deck. I would not say that you couldn't, be wrong, but there is a lot of strategies in Master Duel right now that get better while this deck did not get better. It only got worse. And then there's only better cards for other decks. Cyber Dragons, guys, you get an additional negation with Therion King Regulus. You still keep the Xbox. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Isn't Cyber Dragon an ultra rare too? It's expensive and it's not worth it. I don't think getting Therion King Regulus is the solution for Cyber Dragons. I mean, I guess you could make an argument that it's just more effort than it should be because you still have Destiny Hero Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer, so I'll give you that. And they've confirmed that it's a rare, so it's not as ridiculously expensive as I'm thinking. But I don't think that this is a deck that you should consider playing competitively in Master Duel, though it is a really fun deck and did get a lot better. This Ignister, it doesn't get better from the ban list and it doesn't get better from Heroic Warriors from what we know of, but it's a fairly decent deck and it should be able to carry you pretty much to plat fairly easy, probably to the tip of diamond. And then that's where some of the other decks that get more power can probably edge you out. Dinomorphia got some insane support. I think Dinomorphia has been finding its way. I'm going to make a bold take. I'm going to say that it's really good. I've seen a lot of players play Dinomorphia, and through my vision of Dinomorphia in Master Duel, it is great. Like it's pretty freaking good. Dodges Maxi, can play around Ash Blossom, summons huge monsters. The problem with this deck, and I think the players can argue that it does take a really good pilot, is because Harpy's Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, those are not great cards against this deck. And then other things, like being able to easily disrupt the board. If you can negate those Dinomorphia Rextrums and stuff, you're in a really good spot. But I think it's a really good deck. Unfortunately, extremely expensive, just like how my man Grand Harrier says. Dragon Mummies, this is still a good deck. Again, anything and takes a good pilot, guys, is not a bad deck. You just got to know what you're doing completely to be able to compete at a fairly good level, where these decks give you a little bit more leeway. This deck is still going to be good. It's still going to be supported. Didn't get any support from Heroic Warrior, but fortunately, it's still a great deck. Bro, this is... Can we finally say it? I'm not an Outlich hater or anything, but can we finally say it? Chat, can we finally put it here? Seriously, the deck's dead. Like, Conquistador to 1 is like the worst thing ever. I'm going to put it in a lot of effort because I'm not trying to get canceled by Outlich players, but I think one thing we can all agree is that this deck is not great. Conquistador to 1 plus other better decks that are just good at the game. This just ain't it. This ain't it. Exo Sisters also are a lot of effort right now. This is not a bad Yu-Gi-Oh deck, right? But we are not in a super ultra graveyard reliant format where this deck can take advantage. Plus, we don't have Exo Stepsister Martha just yet. So without Martha, this deck's not flying too high. Floowandereeze, unfortunately, very, very unfortunately, this deck is still really good. I hate this deck, but I'm not going to let my bias determine this deck. The Barrier Statue, losing it, is still extremely good, or is really good. Pot of Duality to 1 and Prosperity to 1 hurts the consistency, but overall this deck is still extremely powerful, and it can get exactly into what it wants fairly easy. Heroic is going to be a lot of effort. I think you'll win a lot of games initially. Pot's to 2. My apology. Pot is to 2. Pot of Duality is to 2. My apologies. Duality is to 2. But you only have 3 instead of 6. Imagine having all 6, your Pot of Prosperities and your Pot of Dualities. You can literally search 9 cards consistently and get in a combo. Having 2 Dualities and 1 Prosperity is a whole lot different. It's a whole different vibe. But anyways, Heroics, I think you're going to get, if you built this deck, hypothetically, hopefully it's cheap. If you built this deck, you can literally snake a ton of wins. Like, just easily get a ridiculous amount of wins. And Renatu says Extravagance and Floowandereeze. Well, Extravagance doesn't allow you to search cards from your deck, technically. It just gives you 2 random cards off the top of your deck, which isn't as powerful as searching cards. But you'll be able to sneak a lot of wins. But once players figure out what you're doing, I think it's going to take a lot of effort, because this deck is like an OTK type deck. I could be wrong, though. I can see in a format, since it's best of 1, I could see this actually being here, because maybe we do figure it out, but the cards that we would play to counter this deck, we can't play because of the other deck. So I could see it being here, but I'm going to put it in a lot of effort for right now, because I think once you figure it out, it's boom. You definitely blind second an OTK your opponent with a Heroic Champions. This deck's actually, it's kind of good. It's really good. Labyrinth Mummy Milkers. In my heart. Really good Yu-Gi-Oh deck right now. Really, really good Yu-Gi-Oh deck right now. I think that it's going to be great. The Labyrinth deck is probably if not the best back row deck, it's the second best back row deck in Master Duel. It's really good. It's really, really good. And Rongo is not banned for this deck, but this deck, this actually could be Diamond really good. Like that could be it, but only time will tell. But Labyrinth's pretty good. This deck doesn't lose to back row disruption as most people would think. I think if you guys have seen my Labyrinth to Diamond series or my to Diamond series where I play a lot of Labyrinth, you see us get Lightning Storm and Dustered all the time and we still clap the opponent up. It's not a deck that hard loses to it. It does suck sometimes, but this deck is overall really good. What it does lose to is Ash Blossom. And a lot of people, I mean, it's just this. Libromancers is a ritual deck coming out. I think Libromancers will be and takes a really good pilot. The reason why I give this deck so much high credit, hypothetically, if we get all the Libromancer cards, this deck is going to be extremely good, especially since we have Cyber Angel Benton at 3, and we still have access to Diviner of Herald. This deck's actually ridiculously good. It can also turbo out Scythe. The Adventure Engine being limited for this deck does kind of suck, but this is a really good ritual deck that can complement Drytron, and I expect to see a whole bunch of great replays with it. This deck is probably the best Cyberse deck out right now because of its ability to be able to one-card combo and hand trap people to death. I think that it's ridiculously underrated. My apologies. Benton is at 1. I've gotten confused with the TCG, but this deck still has, it can abuse Benton like crazy. So like, it didn't matter if Benton's at 1. Diviner's at 3, right? As long as Diviner's at 3, we're fine. We're fine. As long as Diviner's at 3, we are completely fine because this deck can get it back and do a whole bunch of crazy stuff in it. But yeah, heroes, I would say a lot of effort, and that's strictly because heroes are a harder deck to build. And it requires a lot of effort because of it's expensive, but it's a good going second deck. The only reason why I would put it in a lot of effort is because the build, going second, and then relying on your opponent not maxing, ashing you, and hand trapping you to death going second. Drytron, I think Drytron overall jumps to really good because not only is it a great deck, Libromancers help push this deck a little bit further. Anytime we get ritual support, great for this deck. Pendulum, still think it takes a lot of effort. I'm not convinced in Pendulum right now, especially since we're going to have other better cards to play with, so I'm going to put in a lot of effort. Plunder Patrol, right now a lot of effort. In TCG, this card, the deck's stupid good. So if you guys wanted a cool deck that you wanted to invest into, because over time it'll be great, definitely really, really good. A lot of effort. No support for it. It's not a terrible deck, but with Destiny or Celestial Band, who would have thought that that was actually the answer to stop Destiny or Phoenix Enforcer and keep Vert? I would say that this deck's a lot of effort. Predaplant. Predaplant takes a really good pilot. Every Predaplant deck that I've seen, every replay, it starts off with bricking. It never fails. It starts off with bricking, but eventually I think players will realize that the Predaplant variant of Despia might be the best version, and these two might flip, or this might be up here. But I'm going to err on the side of caution because of Heroic Warriors. Dragon Link, really good. Nothing changes for this deck. Runic is hands down the best deck in Master Duel now, in my opinion. I've seen way too many people just auto lose to this deck because it doesn't interact with players the way that it should. It's really stupid. And even with Card of Demise at 2, it's going to be a deck that's going to be ridiculously done. Salomon Great's a lot of effort. We're playing Salomon Great in Master Duel, and it's not the worst thing, but you definitely feel a lot of power creep. I think that Scareclaw right now takes a really good pilot. Once we get more Scaresaw support, it's going to be a way better deck. Like Twin Saw is going to be amazing for this deck. But for right now, it takes a really good pilot. Spellbooks. So Spellbook Sky Striker might be a thing. But Spellbook post Heroic Warrior and going into the next format, I'm not going to say cross-play off. I'm going to say a lot of effort. And the only reason why I put it in a lot of effort is because, again, Heroic Warrior does change the dynamic of this entire format. Before Heroic Warrior, our ban list, I think we're okay. But now post Heroic Warrior, when we're finding out what we got, I think it might be on the side of both of these. And I think power creep might be a big thing. But Spellbook Sky Striker, that might be a thing. This Sun Avalon, guys, just got all of the support it needed to be a diamond-worthy deck. The Therion monsters make Nibiru completely useless. Not only that, so does Runics make Nibiru completely useless. And it makes some incredibly cracked boards with one card, meaning that you have so many other options. You can literally take the Maxi challenge and probably be all right. I think that this is going to be one of the better decks in Master Duel. I think its floor is going to be really good, but its ceiling is a diamond deck. It could U-Link. There's a version that can U-Link, which is crazy, but the inboard is like a skill drain, negates, insulate. It's stupid. Swordsoul, still really good. I think Runic Swordsoul is actually fairly good. Master Duel players put me onto that. You guys would probably say it's diamond worthy, and I don't think that's a bad assessment. Symphonics, I wouldn't waste my dust on them, guys. Unless everything was common, which I don't think everything is, I would not waste. It's not worth it. Phantom Knights, a lot of effort. I don't think it's a bad deck, but it's definitely power crept right now. There's a lot of better decks out there right now. Therion as a pure deck. Yeah. You guys have Chaotic Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon in here. That helps this deck like pop off, my guy. And the fact that it does set up disruptions for this deck is really, really good. So I think Therion as like a mill deck to summon huge Therion monsters is very credible because we have Chaotic Ruler in here. No Deer Note. Oh, my fault. My fault. I forgot about Deer Note. If we get Deer Note, I think diamond worthy deck. Until then, no need to play the pure version. Just play this for right now. Oh, actually, what am I thinking? This got this. It got Therion cards too. This deck's really good. This actually genuinely leaning towards this being better than this. Thunder Dragon takes a really good pilot. Not a bad deck, but I think a good player has to play it. Tri-Brigade, I think it's a really good deck. Still just fairly good, solid. Kiryukishin, really good pilot. Overall, a very, very solidly good deck. Predaplants play Therions. My friend. Yes, they do. Predaplants are plants. They can play Therion, the plant girl, and then they can search. They actually have some crazy little combos that didn't necessarily get really exposed in the TCG, but in Master Duel, yeah, they can play Lily Borea, and it's some pretty crazy things they can do. Where were we? Vindrids, not worth the crafting. Fun looking deck, crazy cool looking deck, but not worth the crafting. In Virtual World, I'm going to put it in takes a really good pilot. But that's all I got. This was actually 37 decks that we have to talk about. So I'm pretty proud that we got it in under 20 minutes. Of course, if you guys disagree, I love reading your comments. We like talking about your comments on Twitch, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope to see you guys there so you can say that my list is bad or my list is great. It's really cool. Catch you on the next one.